Hey everybody, I am Tommy, and we're going to need all kinds of positive energy this morning for a smooth internet access here in our developing country in Ecuador. The internet is not cooperating, so we're wanting to get through this. Isis Flame, good to see you. Barbara, how are you? Ashley G, glad you're here. Hey Caroline. Roberta, what's happening, my friend? Kristen Melinda, there you are. Jane Aldrich, Valerie. Did I say Isis Flame? If not, I'll say it again. The Cuervo Gold. Susan Miller, good to see you. Taylor Miller, we got Millers everywhere. You know, I'm a retired Miller, my damn self. Susie, glad that you're here. Heather Rhodes, William Elias, another guru who saved the boat one day, people. Wouldn't be a boat without him. Rocket Queen, oh yeah, good to see you. So, for Rosen, how am I looking over there, Johnny Scoville? Tell me it's just on my computer. I didn't think so. All right, folks, we're going to limp through this because I assume that most people, one's for internet. That's the spirit. That's right. Good positive energy and some prayers, and we just might get through this. So, paying attention, I've not been here. For those who have, I'm sorry that I've not been here. I had a tooth that many years ago I should have had removed. It is out. The tooth grew in this way. This is how the other tooth, right, grew. And this molar came in like that and actually pushed that one completely out. Literally just kept pushing it until finally it came out. Whilst in prison, it got to the point of pain where they had to yank it, but it took 2 seconds because it had uprooted it. I put in the complaint on the 7th of September. They removed it on the 27th of January. That is no lie. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. We have a pain scale that was developed in the United States, believe it or not, right around the time of the OxyContin epidemic, because the idea was that no one should ever have to be in pain, period. So they came up with this scale of tell us what your pain level is. And they had smiley faces and miserable faces and whatnot. And the scale goes from a 1 to a 10. I have never said to a medical professional or to a friend that my physical pain was a 10. Never, ever uttered that phrase on account of the fact that I thought someday, whatever I'm going through, I might go through something worse. So it didn't seem logical to ever say that was a 10. Do I have the tooth? I have a photo of the tooth, which I will show you, but I'm not going to do it right now because with the speed of the internet, you probably will not be able to see it. My teeth were sideways and yanked before they caused issues. Well, mine should have been yanked, let me see, 38 years ago. 38 years ago, if you can believe that. So the problem with like any kind of pain, I've had over 30 surgeries. I don't remember the exact number anymore. A lot of surgeries. From skiing and from injuries and from being an idiot and doing a ton of drugs and, you know, all of that stuff. So I've had a lot of surgeries. I've had a lot of injuries. I have had a compound fracture of the wrist, which is pretty gnarly. I've had 5 Achilles tendon surgeries, which is pretty gnarly. Tore my Achilles tendon on 4 different occasions. So those are pretty gnarly. I've had 8 shoulder surgeries. I've had 13 surgeries on my knees. I've had a lot of surgeries. And pain has been a staple of my life, right? One of the reasons I became a drug addict. I mean, truthfully, probably not, but it was certainly my favorite excuse for a long time. But now the nerve pain is a completely different animal, especially when it takes place in the mouth, because you have nerve bundles that grow in here, right? So all of the nerves come down. Think of it as a Lucas electrical system on an MG. You throw the left turn signal and the horn goes off. So every once in a while, you will be sitting there and you'll get pain here, even though the problem is over here. You have no cavity, but you're getting pains in places that your teeth are fine. I gave birth once. Well, I cannot imagine that pain. I really cannot. But you can't escape a toothache, says Caroline. And you know what? That's kind of where we're at. So this is what was happening. This is going to sound absolutely stupid, but I want you to hang with me on this. I took a sip of ice cold water, right? the worst ice cold water you can imagine. It literally just had, it was ice floating in water, been floating for a while. And when the ice cold water hit the nerve bundle, the pain was bad, but it was probably a 4 or a 5. So as the pain started to get to a 9 and above, a 9.5, I got ice water and poured it in my mouth, and I would slosh it around in my mouth until the water started to get warmer. So for about a minute or so, the pain level in my jaw around it, which is what the cold water did to the nerve. When it first hit, it would spike. It would be like, tears in your eyes. But then it would be tolerable until the water started getting warm. And there were periods of time where I would spit the water out and I would have zero pain for about 30 seconds. And it got to a point, because I am a freak with watches and whatnot, is I was timing it. And it would be between 36 and 38 seconds. This only happened one night, and it happened between 4 o'clock in the morning and 5:30. And so I was living pain-free at 30 seconds at a clip. The annoying thing is you have a bottle in one hand that you're drinking out of, like so, and you had a bottle in your hand that you're spitting into. And I did this for so long. Yeah, cold does hurt your teeth, and it hurts awful. However, pain when I wasn't putting cold on it was worse. So I was actually using the lower pain, the predictable pain, to get some relief. I know that probably sounds stupid. Everybody looked at me like I was stupid, but it was getting the job done. I also tried it with hot, which didn't work. But this was basically how I was getting by. And when the day before I went to get the teeth out, Johnny said to me, "When was the last time you actually went to sleep?" And this is going to sound funny, but I said, "July. The 31st of July, I got a full night's sleep." The tooth pain was so bad on the next night that I woke up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, or I'm sorry, I fell asleep at about 2. And I woke up at 4, and then I did not sleep again until the tooth was out, literally. And when you have not done sleep for 2 or 3 days, you shouldn't talk to people, period. Certainly don't come online and talk to people from all over the world. I don't need any help being stupid. You know what I mean? None. And when you're not sleeping, might read you the journal entries because they're downright fascinating. I wasn't making a lot of sense. I really wasn't. The logical part of my brain was not engaging very well, and the emotional part of my brain was just dealing with pain. Just some really illogical stuff, right? Days worth of it. But I did journal through it all. So I thought I had an appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and I've been telling people that since Friday, or since probably Thursday. So we showed up at the dentist, and I don't want you to think third world, because it's not. When you show up at the dentist office, it looks very much like a dentist office anywhere in the United States, except maybe a little bit more friendly, honestly. Very, very friendly people there. But we arrived at 9 to find out that the doors open at 9:30. And Johnny Scoville got me there at 5 minutes till. He said to a cab driver, I've got 2 bottles. I'm drinking out of one and spitting in another. And Johnny says, "We need to get to," and he tells them the name of the dentist. And he said, it's an emergency. When he said emergency, the driver his foot to the floor, took his foot off the floor until we got into the parking lot. He took a completely different route. And the whole way there, Johnny keeps saying to me, "We're going the wrong way. We're going the wrong way." And I'm shaking my head no, because I know we're at least going in the general direction. What he was doing was cutting through parking lots, running red lights. I'm not kidding, right? Beeping the horn the whole time. He got us there so much faster. It's, "Hey, look at this. Welcome, Lee. I love that. I really do. I love that." Ashley says, "I really missed the boat. Thought it had disappeared. I apologize. We're back. You won't see any missing boats for a hot minute, I promise." So we get there into the parking lot with 5 minutes to spare. And I go to pull the door open, and I end up doing the thing from Tommy Boy. I don't know if you remember when he thinks he missed the exam. I'm yanking on the doors going, "No, God, no, for the love of God." I mean, I am stressing, right? And I look, and it says 9:30 on the door. And I just looked at my brother and said, "I had a 9 o'clock appointment." He said, "Apparently you didn't." So the doors are painted. Not like They're professionally painted, but they're still on the glass that are there permanently. And there's little slits, maybe the size of a 50-cent piece in a couple of places. So I put my eyes up to the slits, and I'm looking at a guy's face like 6 inches away from me. And he opens the door and he uses a phone like this, and he speaks into it really quickly, and he holds the phone up. And he said, "Are you using that water because you're in pain?" And I nodded. And he said, "How bad is the pain?" And I said, "The worst pain I've ever had in my life." He didn't need that translated. So he waved me inside. Keep in mind, the building doesn't open for a half an hour, 35 minutes. We're about 5 minutes till at this point. We came inside and he looked at me and he put a hand on my leg and he said, "You give me 10 minutes and I'll have you in the chair." Yeah. So 5 minutes later, somebody pulls up at I think the whole time this is the doctor. It's not. It's the receptionist / assistant. 5 minutes later, a guy pulls up on a motorcycle, and it is doctor. Doctor comes in, uses a translator device in his hand, and says, "You look like you're in a lot of pain." I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "This extraction is not going to hurt you at all. The only thing you're going to feel is the Novocaine. Let's get this in as fast as we can." I've not shown an ID. I've not put pen to paper. I've done nothing, right, except walk in the room. I'm in the chair, and he sticks me with Novocaine at about 2 minutes after 9, right? So 28 minutes early. After the second shot of Novocaine, I'm not feeling squat. And then he walks around and he comes back with the translator and says, "Is there a particular kind of music you like to listen to?" I said, "You know what? At this point, I'm not in pain anymore. I'll take any kind of music you like. Not worried about it." First song that came on was Katy Perry. So I thought, good enough. At least I can understand the lyrics. And then he proceeded to, he gave me a message, and Johnny could hear it. He was in the other room, because if I didn't read it fast enough, an electronic voice would actually start to translate it. And he said, "You haven't breathed since you've sat in the chair." Apparently I was holding my breath. He said, "Take deep breaths. I promise you, this isn't going to hurt. I know you've been in pain. Take deep breaths." So I did. And he said, "This will not take long." And then he proceeded to explain to me that the roots are usually in threes. And the root is going to be going this way into the jaw, if that makes sense. And he said, "We don't want to break your jaw. So at least one of these roots is going to be staying in the jaw." And I thought, like, I got a visual image of this that just is not good. Something else, I am completely 100% the most heterosexual man on planet Earth, but this is a handsome dude. He's Colombian, very, very handsome guy. Softest touch of any doctor of any kind I've ever met. Like when he was my face he would just gently, dentists tend to wrench on you a little bit, or maybe it's that I'm, used to the BOP, but very, very kind. And he just worked on it. And I never got that cranking back and forth, that you normally get when they start trying to extract something. And then at one point he said, "Turn the music up, please." He said to the assistant. And I think it's that he didn't want my brother in the other room hearing any kind of noise from what they were doing to me, because at that point we started a little, but I'm sitting there and I'm trying. This is about 7 to 8 minutes in, maybe 10 minutes in at this point. What's his phone number? I will put it up. It's a WhatsApp number. You might want it. But afterwards, so we're sitting there and he said, "Do me a favor and close your mouth. First, let me show you something. See this? I have not done that since 1989. I'm not kidding. Because of how that tooth came in, my front teeth and my bottom teeth could never touch like that. I was unable to do that. Have been unable to do that for decades. It was bizarre, but he said, "Close your jaw." And I did. And he went, "Perfect." And I realized that I could close my jaw and that there wasn't a tooth back there that was actually keeping the teeth from touching. And I looked and it was on the table. And then he warned me. He said, "You're going to see about that much jawbone, because where we just removed this, we had to see where the jawbone was." I mean, it was an uncomfortable experience to look at. There was no pain at all in the extraction. This guy was remarkable. And he said, "I would like to fix all of these, like make me look like Brad Pitt kind of thing, because Why didn't I have that fixed? Ashley G, in the BOP, which is where I spent most of my time, they'll pull them. They won't fill them. So after losing about 3 or 4 teeth that did not need to be extracted, they just needed fillings. But the pain is so bad that you go, all right, screw it, pull it. I just, and I'll be honest, like, I don't mind jumping out of airplanes, right? I've done a lot of really crazy things in my life that if you hear, you say, no, that's, that's not something I would ever do. But dentists scare the crap out of me. When he said to me, you haven't breathed since you got in here, I have a legitimate, no joke phobia of dentists. I do not have a phobia of this cat. Like, I absolutely would be really comfortable going back to see this dude. I do not feel like there's any chance of this guy hurting me. Very, very kind man, and just a professional. If I told you the price, you wouldn't believe me anyway. But four decent hands of blackjack in Vegas paid for this entire procedure. Just ridiculous how cheap's not the right word, because the service was awesome. Inexpensive it was. And then I asked him about dry socket. I said, I'm a little freaked out about dry socket. And he gave me the don't be stupid enough to vape or smoke. So I'm not doing either of those, obviously. But then he said, here are some things that you that will make sure that you don't get it. And you know what one of them was? He said, citrus beverages. If you're going to drink, only drink citrus beverages. So I've been doing lemonade. I've been doing naranga, orange juice, grapefruit juice, things like that. And then there's a list of things that he didn't want me to eat. Sausage was on it. You'd be shocked to know that steak is not. I could eat steak, no seafood at all, which is kind of crazy, right, with where I live. But can't do any seafood, can't do anything. And he said, and I'm writing a prescription for antibiotics. And I asked, do I have an infection? He said, no, not at all. It would have been really swollen if you did, which I knew the answer to. I didn't, but I thought, so this is preventive stuff for the, to avoid the dry socket. And the other reason that I'm less likely to get dry socket, according to him, is that normally when you pull these things out, you get a very, very deep pit, because you have teeth like this, right? Like goalposts, and they remove the tooth in the middle of that goalpost. And now you have a big sunken area that's going to get, not to, hopefully you've had breakfast, but you get that clot over the top of it. And then if you start doing like sucking through a straw or doing anything that's going to dislodge that clot, you can get an infection under it and blah, blah, blah. I do not have that problem, because this tooth was literally grafted onto my mandible. This tooth came directly off of my my bottom jaw. So as opposed to having a pit this deep, I've got about an inch of jawbone that is exposed. Now, very little of it, and it's remarkable how small an incision and a cut it was, but I couldn't feel it. Apparently, he had to have been cutting before we got rolling. You know how they put that thing in your mouth that goes and sucks everything out? Never used that. Not once. There was one there, but he never used it. He asked me to manually spit 3 times during the entire procedure. And not one of the times that I spit was there like copious amounts of blood or anything else. It was kind of remarkable, honestly. Yeah, you can't smoke. Not only is the smoke itself filled with poisons and things that are not good, but the act of, right? I'm not going to do it because that could cause me problems anyway. But when you draw in on something, your mouth, you create like a vacuum, and that vacuum will pull the clot off of the injury. So as most of you know, I do not smoke. I have a trough, not that's correct. But the sucking on straw or on anything else is a bad idea. So I'm not vaped. I haven't vaped since this happened. So I can't remember how long I've been vaping, but it's a hot minute. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term, but a hot minute. So probably a couple of years, at least, maybe 3. years that I've been vaping. So, yeah, the crazy thing is I'm not really going through it. I'm not really struggling with nicotine withdrawal at all, which is kind of fascinating. Although, so I have no procedure. I do feel like I've been hit right here, not so much here or here, but right here. I feel like I've been hit with a baseball bat. But that kind of pain, everybody can deal with that kind of pain. Seriously, I don't care who you are. If you get punched in the face, it sucks. But, 25, 30 minutes later, you're in good shape. Nerve pain, I am not so good at, right? And tooth pain is the worst. You can't escape it. It's kind of like a migraine. And I was using every migraine trick known in the book, for the record. Putting scalding kind of hot water on your feet type of thing, because all of the blood will then rush down to your feet. And that bought a little bit of but really just putting ice cold water in my mouth was the only relief that I could get. It's it feels good, Caroline. It feels good to minuto caliente, no caliente at all. They really want me to avoid heat of any kind, at least for the first couple of days. I'll tell you something. The most fascinating show that you're going to see in a long time is going to be the show that my brother does after this. Would ice packs on the jaw not help you? We tried it. We tried that. Put ice on the outside. It didn't seem to work. I even tried taking a cube and putting it directly onto the tooth. I don't know. When you guys see the picture, I'm not going to put it up because of how slow my speed is currently, my upload speed. The next time I go live, no tube of terror. Good call. Good call. And it's a bummer because I was saying to Johnny just yesterday, you know what I'd love to do is gnarl down some of those terrible peanuts that you make. I didn't say that. I can't back that up. Absolutely awful stuff. Really awful stuff. But Johnny is going to be doing a show. He came to me and said, I won't steal his thunder, but he came to me and said, I have a thought I want to run by you. And I went, oh, crap. Wait till you hear his show. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to be listening to it because it's fascinating. And the vaping thing, I'll just tell you this. So most people realize I've had a few, I fractured a law or two in my life. The previous incarnation of me ended up incarcerated a couple of times. And every time I went in addicted to nicotine, the hell of not having the nicotine was almost as bad as the hell of not having the opioid. It's just a very, very difficult thing with. And the doctor said to me, no vaping. And I jokingly said, how about if I just breathe it through my nose? Really bad. He went, no, there's no vaping. And he said it so seriously, I didn't even get the laugh out of him I was hoping for. But when I realized it was Ashley G, please have a good day. Thank you for spending the morning with us. Appreciate you. But when I realized that there wasn't going to be any nicotine, there was a moment of panic. And it only lasted until about 6 minutes after I left the and I have just given a crap. It's been beautiful, really. Oh boy, did you see that? All right, so here's the deal. We're going to get back on track. This is good news for all of you that didn't really start journaling when you said you were signing up for a 30-day journaling deal. You know who you are. And there's plenty of you because a lot of you have already admitted it. So you're going to start. And we are going to commit to the next 30 days. If you say, well, Tommy, I've already done that. Good. So now you'll commit to about 40. You're committing to the rest of your life. That's what you're doing. You're committing to the rest of your life. I've got news for you. I've never had nicotine patches, pure habit. I smoke having it in my hand, if that makes sense. Absolutely. It's called ritual. With addiction, one of the most difficult things is the ritual of the addiction. If you are somebody that it was addicted to heroin, the act of taking out, junkies call it the works. You've got your needle, your spoon, the little ball of cotton you're going to throw in there to filter the stuff through. Process of setting everything up. Having been addicted for 30 years, I've watched thousands of people shoot dope. And everybody's ritual is identical every single time they do it. And it's such a part of the entire thing that if they had somebody that would take care of all of it for them and hand them a preloaded syringe, it wouldn't work. I promise you, it would be an issue for them because it is such a part of the deal. Come on, I brushed the dust off my journal and found a pen. I'm working on it, Tommy. That's the spirit, Isis. That's the spirit. I haven't missed a day, which shocks me more than anyone. Barbara, my girl, that's what I'm talking about. I promise you, people, this will change your life. This will change your life. I am happy. I really am. I am content. And I'm in a place where gratitude, and I do it every once in a while. I'll sit down and try to piss and moan for a few pages, right? Come up with all the things that really bother me. Where am I at in my head? What are the things that if I could just wave a magic wand and fix, what would they be? And I'll be honest, I'm hard pressed to figure that out. Citrus fruit full of vitamin C, that's good for healing skin. Taking wheat steak that's full of iron, that congeals blood. See that? Lee gets it. I didn't, but I do like the fact that you could explain it. And Lee, it's funny that you say that because I actually got prescription strength vitamin C and zinc that the doc wanted me to take. Fascinating tip. The only time that my name was asked for was when the doc wrote me my prescription. It's the only time that there was any talk whatsoever of who you are, anything else. If I was doing this in another country, I'm not bagging on any place. I'm complimenting where I live. Because if I was doing this in a more advanced culture, right, a more developed culture, I'd still be filling out the freaking paperwork and I'd still have that tooth in my mouth. Yeah, and when I got back, I didn't want to walk. You know, I hadn't slept in so long. I just wanted to sit down and fall asleep. And my brother said, well, I'll go drop off the prescriptions and then you can pick them up later. And when he went in there, he said, listen, I'm going to drop these off and my brother's going to come and pick them up. They're his prescriptions. And the people there were like, why don't you just wait? We'll just fill down. You can take them. You know what I mean? Like, why would you? They seemed blown away by that concept. I have housemates agreeing to help me with my journal, food journals for 2 out of 3 of us, and haven't asked Teen yet, actually. Wow, I love this. So we're starting this tomorrow, and we're going to be going over some things that some of you have already over in the beginning. And guess what? Tough. I have talked about the reasons for journaling and how you get started. I'm not exaggerating. Now, hundreds of times, if not 1,000 times. But I have to continue to do it. In the first 4 years of my journaling, and I'm not talking about trying to get going. I'm talking about once it was a religious activity for me. Journaling not just in the morning and at night, but anytime I felt, if I don't talk about this right now, if I don't write this out in my journal, then I'm shoving this in a closet. It's going to come back out of the closet, and it's going to do it at a time when it really is inconvenient. One of the things that you'll find fascinating once you start doing this and doing it religiously, you start doing this like something that you actually believe is necessary for you. And trust me, it is. But you will find that once you're acutely aware of the fact that you've got a closet full of crap you've never dealt with, you will find out that it comes out. That door comes busting open and unresolved issues come out at the most inconvenient times that they possibly can. Not an accident, by the way. The reason that happens is what is causing that door to come swinging open is something similar. Somebody push your button and it makes you go, oh, just like June 17th, 1984, you know, when Ariana Fisher said this, and this to you in study hall. And you shoved it in the closet. It's fascinating, but it always comes busting out at a time when you don't need emotion to be making decisions. You need logic to be making decisions. At a time when you need your executive function more than your next breath of oxygen, it usually checks out. But coming back yesterday, I sat down to do a gratitude journal. Okay? and shoving anything down anybody's throat, anything else. Very often, gratitude journals start with God is good, because I don't deserve any of this. I probably deserve to still have some bars in front of me, truthfully, by the grace of God kind of thing. So I started out with that. And then I just started listing how every single thing went right. The cab driver who acted like I was delivering an organ to an emergency room. Like there was somebody that needed a heart and we had it in a small cooler. It almost scared the hell out of me, except he seemed to be in complete control. My original lifeboat journal is a thing of beauty and horror for me. The journey from drunk, wow, to nearly sane was interesting. That is the coolest comment. Wow. Someday, folks, it's funny because this came up recently and somebody in the chat wrote, I'm just really afraid that after I'm gone, that these journals will end up in somebody's hands or whatever. And this may sound really crazy, but I never, ever thought about this. It's not something I ever worried about. Maybe it's because to me, after I'm gone, it's like an empty beer can. For real, what do I care? There's nothing that if they go and talk about, I'm not going to be there to do it. It's the trolls. Who's ever talking about me or reading, my kids aren't going to do it. My kids don't want to delve into my mind. For real. Both of my kids journal like you wouldn't believe, and they would never want to do that. But the more I thought about it, I started to journal about it, and I thought, I think I might like the idea. No joke. And for the same reason that Isis Flame just said, the journey from, smack freak, right, from straight running junkie, and let's be honest, career bad guy, to where I'm at today, I kind of wouldn't bother me if the world saw that. I don't know if I would want the world to see it while I'm here, because sure as hell there'd be a lot of people that would have a lot of fun with me. But it wouldn't bother me after I'm gone. If I think it's one of those testimonials of if the power in this bad boy right here can cure Tommy, then this can cure anybody. I promise you. And by the way, I am getting to the point where when I go, unless it's in the next couple of months, when I go, this is going to take up an entire library shelf, right? I'm talking about 6 feet of these things, 7 feet of these things. I've been journaling now for a hot minute, over a decade. But when I first started going in the first 4 years, I would fuff. There would be days where I never missed a day, but there would be days that I journaled in name only. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody who's a journaler has done this, where you sit down and you write just enough shit so that you could put a date on the page and then feel like, didn't miss a day. That's not what we're shooting for. We're not doing this so that at the end of 365 days, we have 365 days of journaling. You're trying to make sure that there aren't issues that you should have resolved that you haven't. We don't live in a world where you can resolve your issues. I've talked about body image a lot. And I live in a place now where nobody has a problem with this unless them. You follow me? Nobody in this country seems to have an issue with their body. People who've come here from other countries seem to bring that with them. And it's not that, these are smarter people or more, it's that they don't get programmed. You don't see, even in the cities, like if you go into the big cities in Ecuador, you go into Guayaquil, you're going to see a couple of billboards, but you don't see thousands and thousands of airbrushed images of people every day. And there doesn't seem to be this keeping up with the Joneses kind of an attitude. A lot of people come to South America, what they call medical tourism. You understand this is a concept? Your dollar is worth so much money. It's like this. This procedure in the United States would have cost me well over $1,000, probably closer to $1,300 instead of $100 with a tip, right? So there are people who travel to South America just to get more bang for their buck so that they can go see a doctor, which I think is great. They're not getting their boobs done. You know what I mean? It's not that they get their teeth done. No, but teeth are one of those rare things that are both cosmetic and functional. I'm not saying that their ass isn't fun to play with, However, it's not necessarily essential that you get a boob job for the sake of happiness. If you're not getting your grill to the point where you can eat properly, that really is kind of life-changing. But to get like there, I know that we have people in the chat, and over the years that we've been doing the boat, there have been so many people that have had full implants because our lifestyle very often is not conducive to great to great dental care. If your drug of choice is methamphetamine, people think that, meth heads just don't brush their teeth. I knew people that were freaks about it. But what ends up happening is your body starts to digest its own teeth. That has something to do with the amount of calcium that your body needs to use, right, in order to get things done. So it will go to where the storehouses of calcium are. The really sort of educated people that do this stuff take unbelievable amounts of calcium supplement, and they don't their grill. I knew someone who went to South America to do in vitro fertilization to try to have a baby and saved a fortune. But a lot of people who have been through, heroin, it's not that heroin addicts don't brush their teeth. It's that heroin addicts pass out. They don't always take care of themselves. They should. They nod out. They don't get ready for bed. They usually go to sleep wearing the clothing that they wore, get up wearing the clothing they wore. Not in the beginning, right? Everything is a progression. But by the end, if you're selling your body, you're probably not 100% concerned about things like hygiene. If you're stealing every day to support a habit, hygiene tends to take the back burner to the front burner, if that makes sense. But I know a lot of people that have had implants, and the cost of dental implants, you could get your entire package done down here for somewhere in the $2,500 to $3,000 package, where it might be 30 or 40,000. In a more developed country, so to speak. Positive vibes. You know what? Look I love Cindy. You see this? This is good stuff. Pay attention if you just got here. Caroline, 333s, ones, much hugs and love. Prayers or positive vibes, whichever your preference, or none if you wish. I'm really getting you better than that. And here's the thing, right? I wish that this could be implanted in every single video. But if this doesn't jump off the page at you, then you're probably in the wrong spot. Like the people, I'm so fascinated. Every once in a while, I'll get an email from someone that says, I am just very offended when someone says they're praying for me. I just want to tell them to get psychiatric care. What do you give a crap what someone is doing if it's their version of the kindest thing I can do to you? I don't care if you match up with what I believe. If you say, hey, Tommy, I know your teeth are hurting or whatever, I'm going to think the most positive thing I can think for you. I don't care how you do that. I don't. The takeaway for that is how kind, right? How kind is that? If ever you find yourself offended by that, you're probably not going to like me. I'm just keeping it real. You're not. Save you a lot of time. If you find that offensive, this isn't going to be a place you dig. Sorry. But I don't, any way you want to approach me where you're just bringing the kindest thing that you can, I promise I'm going to be cool with it. This evening, I am going to be doing a show that is not about journaling, but I really want you to see it. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the news. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on with Epstein. And while I have been gone, there has been a lot of stuff made about this that you just have to be, and I hate to say this, but you have to be someone that has been exactly where he died. You have to be on that kind of program where you're in a segregated housing unit. You're on the watch. You've just been brought off the watch, any of those things. They're talking about how the count that day, they skipped doing the 4 o'clock count and they skipped doing the 10 o'clock count. They just didn't count. But it's being talked about as if this is something that happens every day. It never happens. 13 years. It never happens. I promise you. These are the most important things that happen in a prison. This is the only way you know where everybody is. And if by some chance, like they wrote, there was a -1, there was somebody missing, and they filled it in after the fact because Epstein's cellmate wasn't there. Just doing this briefly. But a -1 shuts down the prison. literally shuts down the prison. They will tear that place apart. They will look under beds. They will lock the whole place down, shut the roads going in and out until they find that human being. And the people that are commenting on this stuff want to talk about who was walking up and down the stairs or whatever. And the count thing was just some people that blew off count that day. Count is never blown off. It's what they get paid to do. Everything else that they do there is kind of ho-hum. The count is what they're paid to do. It's the census to make sure every single person is still in the joint. It makes zero sense, but please do. My tooth is gone, Primitive Lifeways. It is, and you know what's funny? I wanted to take the tooth home. And the doctor told him, hey, you know what? Through the transfer, I'd like to take that tooth home. And he said, we can't let people leave here with tissue or teeth or anything like that. And he said it to me like, what is this, a third world country? Get your shit together. I mean, honestly, that's exactly how he put it to me. Like, what the hell's the matter with you? Why would we let you take a tooth home? It's disgusting. I threw away a spark in county jail and got the whole place shut down for hours while they looked for it. I'm telling you, a spork. You threw away a spork in county jail. I thought that's a spark. You know something? That's not so far off of the truth. Absolutely. Certain things are like when I just told you the story of when I was in the Fed system, the tooth that was right next to this one, I put in and said, I can't live like this. It's the worst pain I've ever felt. September the 7th. They didn't pull it until 4 days before February, right? They pulled it on the 27th of January. The only reason they did is one of the guys that I was living with put his arm through the food slot. They call it jacking the food slot. If you keep trays, if you keep a tray, they lose their mind. I believe you, Isis. It's such a bizarre thing. But if you, Caroline, have a great day. Thank you for spending your morning with us. Please be back tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. But if you hold on to the trays, they will act like a tray can receive a bullet in it that you can then discharge out of the tray. They lose their mother-loving minds. They come up to negotiate with you. What do we got to do to get the trays back? But the guy put his arm through the food slot. And he came up. He goes, what are you doing, man? They'll never slam the bean slot on your arm. The feds, that'll never happen. So he came up and he goes, what's your list of demands? And he's like, get Rock out of here and pull his tooth or I'm going to kill him. He's like, I can't put up with everything he has to do to make that. You know, he put the work order for his tooth in September. Get it out of here and get it pulled today or I'm going to kill him. Right. And it worked. That's how my tooth got pulled. A tooth fairy came to you, definitely. Yeah, there's it's funny. I really wanted this tooth. I will show you a picture of it on tomorrow morning's live. Like I said, if I start playing with buttons here because of how slow my upload speed is right now, although it's a little bit faster than when it started, Johnny Scoville is going to get a really a good one. Time are you starting?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So that's 9 o'clock our time. That would be 7 o'clock on the West Coast, right? I don't know. I was told there'd be no math. Be looking for Chase the Heat South America. This is one of the most fascinating shows. I wish I had thought of this, to be honest with you. I've danced around the issue before. We've kind of talked about it, but I think my brother is onto something that if there was enough money, this is a study that needed to be done, but I don't think they can. Anyway, I'm not going to steal this. You really need to watch the show that Johnny's about to do, because I think he has stumbled onto something that might change how I view addiction. Second time. If you've been around the boat long enough, you know this channel. You were sober or you were not sober. If you smoked pot, you weren't sober. Plain and simple. If you traded a drug for another drug, like Suboxone, you weren't sober. Plain and simple. That was my mindset. I don't believe any of that anymore. That completely changed for me. Harm reduction is a better model. And I can't exactly articulate it exactly the way I'd like to. But I think that Johnny's video is probably going to hit this home in a way that'll make it make sense to a lot of people. Avoiding jail is kind of a thing for me. It's why I quit drinking. Isis, I love that. I love that. Avoiding jail is kind of a thing for me too. Also one of the reasons I left the country of my birth. I wasn't doing anything wrong, and yet I was still in danger. And that's I was under the belief that if you did well, you had nothing to fear. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way anymore. You know, you can look up cases of people that have been killed by swatting incidents, right? Somebody just thinks it'll be really funny to call and have the SWAT show up at someone's house, you know, and they'll film it because it'll be funny. Or someone will call the authorities and tell them that you're a child smuggler. That's the world I was living in. That sounds third. Not trying to bust on America, but the people that live there have got a little out of control, some of them. Sorry, but it's the truth. You know, getting followed to church is something that I remember looking at my brother and saying, you want to keep doing this? Because I don't. Looking forward, however, if I get to baking, I may not be able to follow chat, but my Alexa in the kitchen will play the lives. You know what? You can always double back and read the chat. What are you doing, cat? Your cat's a weirdo. I tell you what, I love Katy Perry. She's the strangest cat in the world, though. When she wants to attack things, she only uses her back feet, which means that she stands on things constantly. And you'll see her like get into position and her butt starts moving, her feet are going up and down. She's a strange little kitten, I'll tell you what.
15-pound kitten.
Yeah, 15-pound kitten. You'll see the might be too slow on the upload speed, but the curtains are doing this number because she's hanging out behind it. Tonight, I will be doing my live at 7:05 California time. Tomorrow morning, thanks, Cindy. I'm safe too, man. I will be here at the same time as we were this morning. That's it's 5:30 on the West Coast of the United States. Yes, again with that pesky math. The reason that I am stopping is this is about as much as I can get away with before my actual jaw, just the muscles from going up and down, killing me. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you not only the tooth, but I will probably show you what it looks like where it was extracted. This has been, I think this might even be my computer. If you check the upload speeds, because I'm looking at this on the phone, could be my computer. Alrighty, people, I am going to be see all over on John. Don't see it later, because I promise you, man, this doesn't get you thinking that you haven't paid attention to anything I've ever said on this channel. and be here tomorrow morning. I know how many of you are here. One of you isn't. I'm going to find you. I'm kidding. Please be here tomorrow morning, and let's start this journaling anew. I'm going to be doing an assignment every day. You don't have to do it, but if you find yourself staring at a blank page, there will be an assignment you can fall back on. This is going to remove all of the excuses people say, I just don't know what to talk about. I'll give you some to talk about until it starts making sense to you. I'll give you something to talk about. Hear that? A little mystery. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart, please. And I'll see you all on Chase the Yogurt here shortly.
Oh, he did.
Oh, I did. All right, I love you all. I mean that. Thank you for the prayers, for the positives. Thank you for the people that just shot out stuff from their tummy like one of those Care Bear things with the heart. And to those of you who want things on fire backyard, I appreciate all of it. I really do. The fact that you are sending me your best means the world to me. All right. See you this evening, people. I love you more than you know. I am Tommy.